When it comes to foreign policy, I am a non-interventionalist. I believe that, hey, what's taking place in that country is that country's business, that country's problem, until, it carries the potential to seep over to the U.S. and we end up with like a 9/11. So it's one of the more nuanced and, how to put it, like, it's a subject that I'm far more timid on because of what I don't know. I think that's one of the biggest things to recognize when talking about, over things that are taking place overseas or choices that are made when it comes to the United States foreign policy. But one of the goals that I would always like to see is us trying to, preserve as many American lives and as many American soldiers as humanly possible. And it seems as if President Trump has taken that route as well. This is coming to us from Business Insider. Trump defends abandoning the Kurds by saying they didn't help the U.S. in World War II. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's pretty funny to me. Like, this is written by John Halterwanger. President Donald Trump on Wednesday continued to defend his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from northeastern Syria, abandoning Kurdish forces in the region by saying the Kurds did not help the U.S. during World War II. They didn't help us in the Second World War. They didn't help us with Normandy, Trump said of the Kurds, who played a vital role in the U.S.-led campaign against ISIS. And I want to highlight that, U.S.-led. Like, they played a vital role. They was very helpful, but as far as getting rid of ISIS, yeah, we led the charge with that. They're gone. Hey, best of luck to you. And when asked by reporters whether he felt the Syria retreat and treatment of the Kurds sent a poor message to other potential U.S. allies, Trump said, alliances are very easy. I don't think he's wrong. I mean, we are the most powerful nation in the world. I mean, for the most part, there will always be a side of a conflict that's like, oh, America? Why not? Trump's comments came hours after Turkey launched a military operation against the formerly U.S.-backed Kurdish forces in Syria. Now, this is just a rehash of everything else, but kind of want to go through it and check it out. President Donald Trump on Wednesday defended his decision. This came about the whole World War II thing. This came amid reports that Turkish ground troops were crossing the border into Syria after airstrikes that began earlier in the day. They didn't help us in the Second World War. With all that being said, we like the Kurds. The Kurdistan region, which stretches along the borders of Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Iran, and Armenia, is roughly 4,000 kilometers from Normandy, France. The Kurds are a distinct ethnic group with an estimated population between 25 to 35 million and have never said to be a permanent or official nation state. That's just him repeating the comments. Earlier on Wednesday, Trump said in a statement released by the White House that he did not endorse the Turkish military operation and thought it was a bad idea, but he did not refer directly to the Kurds or signal any immediate response from the U.S. to thwart Turkey's actions. The Trump administration on Sunday abruptly announced the U.S. was withdrawing troops stationed in northeastern Syria ahead of a Turkish operation. And that's when, Meghan McCain and the Shapiros and all the war hawks that, just love intervention came out talking about, oh my goodness, how could we do this? How could we be so mean and everything else like that? And the president's given his explanation. Rather hilarious. The move has been broadly condemned in Washington, including by top congressional Republicans and former Trump administration officials, as many feel Trump paved the way for Turkey to go after key U.S. allies. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic forces bore the brunt of the U.S.-led campaign against ISIS, losing about 11,000 fighters in the process. Ahead of the Trump administration's announcement, Kurdish forces had recently dismantled defensive positions along the Turkey-Syria border under assurances from the U.S. it would not allow a Turkish assault. The SDF described Trump's decision to withdraw troops as a stab in the back and made it clear it felt betrayed by the U.S. Shortly after his reference to World War II on Wednesday, when he was asked by reporters whether he felt Syria retreat and treatment of the Kurds sent a poor message to other potential U.S. allies, Trump said alliances are very easy. The president said it won't be hard for U.S. to form new partnerships. I'm with him on that. So Trump also said our alliances have taken tremendous advantage of us. I'll say, because wasn't it President Obama who was giving, who's kind of like, we've been arming both sides of conflicts for a very long time. But a number of congressional lawmakers and former U.S. officials have expressed concerns about the message sent to allies or future partners by the Trump administration's Syria retreat. I can't help but feel like we got so many moving parts when it comes to our government. You got so many different people and so many different sectors and entities making deals that, they're tripping over each other. Trump's former top envoy in the fight against ISIS, Brett McGurk, was particularly critical of the president. McGurk said in a tweet on Monday, Donald Trump is not a commander-in-chief. He makes impulsive decisions with no knowledge or deliberation. He sends military personnel into harm's way with no backing. He blusters and then leaves our allies exposed when adversaries call his bluff or he confronts a hard phone call. You know what the deal is with it for me, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to our military industrial complex, is that, there's always going to be people upset with whatever choice that you made. Ultimately, I will land on the side of bringing American soldiers home or reallocating those resources elsewhere. Now, what comes of it, I couldn't tell you. We're all just locked in on this car and enjoying the ride together. Similarly, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, a key ally for Trump in Congress who sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, on Monday tweeted, "By abandoning the Kurds, we have sent the most dangerous signal possible. America is an unreliable ally, and it's just a matter of time before China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea act out in dangerous ways." I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I can't help but feel like a little bit of that is bluster. Fingers crossed. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. But I'm not too sure, because the lineup that he gave. We all have interest within each other. Like, everybody has competing interests that I believe that we can. It's always, our competing interest is always guaranteed our safety from mutual destruction, I believe, to an extent. This is just another nook, another cranny that'll have to get hashed out. Graham on Wednesday announced that he had reached a bipartisan agreement with Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland for severe sanctions against Turkey in light of the operation against the Kurds. While the administration refuses to act against Turkey, I expect strong bipartisan support, Graham said in a tweet. In a separate tweet, he added, "America is better than this. Please stand up to Turkey, Mr. President." Turkey, a fellow NATO member, but has a complicated relationship with the U.S. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's critics view him as a dangerous autocrat and enemy to democracy. There are also fears that the Turkish operation will create a security vacuum and open the door for the resurgence of ISIS, while also serving to the benefit of Syrian President Bashar Assad, Iran, and Russia. Kurdish forces have been detaining thousands of ISIS fighters, and many fear the Turkish operation will pave the way for their escape. Trump on Wednesday said if the ISIS fighters were to get out, they would be escaping to Europe. Along these lines, many U.S. lawmakers have questioned the logic of Trump's decision and how it benefits U.S. national security and strategic interests. This attack will spill the blood of thousands of innocent civilians. And we ain't got too much longer to go. All right, I'll finish it up. The Kurds in Turkey have been at odds for years, and the dominant fighting force in the SDF, the Syrian Kurdish People's Protection Units, YPG, is viewed by the Turkish government as a terrorist affiliate because of its ties to the Kurdistan Workers' Party, KPP. The PKK, for decades has waged a violent campaign against the Turkish government as part of a broader effort to establish an independent Kurdish state within Turkey. In tweets announcing the onset of Turkey's military incursion into Syria on Wednesday, Erdogan said the operation's goal was to neutralize terror threats against Turkey and to lead to the establishment of a safe zone, facilitating the return of Syrian refugees to their homes. Our mission is to prevent the creation of a terror corridor across our southern border and to bring peace to the area, Erdogan said. Meanwhile, the SDF has pled with the U.S. and its allies to establish a no-fly zone in the region and carry out their responsibilities to avoid a possible impending humanitarian disaster. This attack will spill the blood of thousands of innocent civilians because our border areas are overcrowded, the SDF's official Twitter account said. And so I guess from here on out, we just wait and see, because that's all we got. I knew this was a story. This has been a thing for a while, and I wanted to talk about it on the channel, but I wanted to have as much, I guess, information as possible. And Business Insider, I'm pretty cool with Business Insider and using them as a source. So yeah, I'm always for bringing home troops. I always will be. The president's making this move, and I don't think that he's wrong in knowing that, because of the way the U.S. is set up, we play both sides of every conflict. We hedge our bets as a nation. If the CIA will have one side of the conflict, whereas like Homeland Security or something like that will have another side of the conflict, and whoever wins within that region. I mean, that's kind of how we do. So yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people sitting there talking about how crazy it is, how nuts it is. I can't help but feel people who feel super strongly about this, they have some kind of economic tie to the military industrial complex, and it threatens some of their coins more than anything else. So with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, go ahead, do that too. I ain't scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice. You want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and the like. YouTube, bitch, we'll see. And speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? I mean, I happily admit there are so many things that I don't know, that making any kind of definitive statement when it comes to foreign policy and the consequences or repercussions of foreign policy is just not within my wheelhouse. But hey, maybe you might have a better idea of it than I do, so that's why I'm not taking it off the table. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and until the next one.